What's up YouTubers, Johnny DIY here. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to install baseboards all the way from cutting them to finish nailing them. If you guys are new to my channel, do me a favor, click the subscribe and the notification bell so you can get all my new videos. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so this is the end result we're going to be looking to achieve. This is a bedroom I just finished up. We're going to be working on a large walk-in closet next. But basically there's just two joints really when we're working with the baseboard. Inside corners like here, where the edges are going to be inside mitered 45. So this left board is going to be mitered like that. And then this right board is going to be mitered opposite. But see, if we give a bird's eye view, the 45 is just straight down the middle. And the room we're working on today doesn't have any outside corners, but I'll give you an example. Here's an outside corner, and the miters are just going to be opposite of the inside corners. So the long edge is going to be on the face. It's going to be opposite of the mitered inside corners. See? Okay, so this is the walk-in closet I was telling you about. So see, we have an inside corner here, 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 and here. Then we're going to have a straight cut here against the trim and straight cut there against the trim. Okay, now so we're going to be measuring from the inside corner to the inside corner. And I like to write down all my measurements for the whole room. But if you're new to this, you may just want to measure, then cut the piece, then measure and cut the next piece. Now this is how I write down my measurements. You can do it any way you can to remember, but I write where it's going, then I draw a little picture of, this is a view from the top looking down on the piece. So this is our left wall right here, so we have an inside corner on the right and left. That's what these little marks are, the piece. And then on that little front wall we have an inside corner on our right, but on the left, see, we have a straight cut right here, 14 7/8. So this is how I write down mine. Figure out a way to do yours, but this works for me. Now take a minute and look over your measurements and take some time to try and get the most out of your wood so you don't waste a bunch of wood. So you know, if you have a 12-foot piece, how many of these pieces can you get out of that 12, and kind of go back and forth so you don't waste a bunch. Sometimes you're going to need to scarf the joints together, add them together if you have a really long wall, or if you're running low on material. I've got a separate video on how to do those scarf joints. Check that out. Okay, now you're going to need some sort of saw to cut the mitered joints. We'll go ahead and set this saw to 45 degrees and lock that in. You either need a miter saw like this, you could use a circular saw, or even a hand saw with a miter box. I'll go ahead and put some links down in the description to all those tools, guys. So I'll just show you the first couple cuts. We'll start with this cut right here on the right. So we just put it on our miter saw. We'll just cut it like that. There we have our right side inside corner. So then we'll flip it upside down. Then we're going to measure from the end of the angle cut, 93 7/8. And that's where we want the end of our angle to end. So we would want our angle to be in like that. So I just like to mark each side so we don't get confused. When you take your measurements and mark, err on the side of longness. You can always cut it again shorter, but we won't be able to add any piece left, so cut long. Alright, one down, 4 more to cut. Now it's a good idea to write on the back the same name that we wrote on our notes so that we don't have to be guessing which cut is which. Okay, we've got all our pieces cut, now let's go fit them. Okay, now we're going to want to lay all our pieces down, check for fitment. So like I said, you cut them long, so it looks like I need to make an adjustment on a couple of them. They're too long. Don't try and force them in. Just make them a little shorter so they should fit in just like this, like a glove. Tight on each side. Okay, I had to take a couple snippets off a couple of the boards, but now we got it all dry fitted. Now let's go ahead and take it all out. Okay, then we're going to take a damp rag and we're going to really clean these really good. Put a little soap on them, get all the dirt and sawdust off of them. Now these white ones only usually come pre-primed, so we're going to want to paint on 1 to 2 good coats of our finish coat. Usually you want to go with a semi-gloss or full gloss paint on trim like this. But what I like to do is I brush it on first, make sure I get in all the nooks and crannies. And then you're going to want to get one of these high density foam rollers. We're going to come back and back roll it. And that's going to give us a nice smooth finish. Spraying would be the smoothest finished, but this works just good too. Okay, we've got our baseboards all painted and laid out. Now before we go nailing, what we're going to do is measure from the corner out 16 inches. And I'm just going to make a little mark with my pencil on the baseboard. That's going to indicate where our stud is. We always want to nail into a stud if possible. So you're just going to go ahead and do this all the way around your baseboards. And this is 3 3/4 inch baseboard, so this is going to need 3 nails. If you had a skinnier baseboard, you get away with 2 nails. See, 1 here, and then 1 up here to really suck it in. Okay, now if you're laying your baseboard over a hard flooring, you can just go ahead and rest it on the floor, and that's where you're going to mount it. If you're mounting it over carpet, you don't want to really jam it down. You just kind of want to let it rest on the carpet. Maybe push it down just about, 1/4 of an inch. You don't want to jam it down really far. Now if you're installing baseboards but you don't have carpet, but you think you're going to have carpet, you're going to want to mount this baseboard up about 1/2 of an inch from the floor. That's going to give you room for your tack strip, carpet padding, and carpet. So just make yourself some shims and rest the baseboard on that if you think you're going to add carpet later. Okay, now let's talk about nails. You can use a regular old hammer and finish nails and a little nail punch to set those. I've done that. You can get one of these. This is a cordless brad nailer, or you can get an air compressor and a nailer too. And what size nails? You're going to want the nails at least 1 inch longer than the thickness of your trim. So these are like 1 3/4 inches. So we're going to start with the back wall. We're going to set a level up here on top of our baseboard. Make sure we start off level. Looks like I need to adjust my pressure. But we're going to try and get it pretty close to the corner. See, this is that little nail setter I was telling you guys about if you're going to nail by hand. I'll make sure I put links down in the description to all the tools I'm using today, guys. Just make sure they're setting just below the surface. Okay, and then when you get to the next piece, you're going to line up the top of that piece with the one you just finished. Hit a level on it. Alright, we got it all nailed down. Now the finish line is in sight, but we've got a few more steps to really make it look professional. You don't want to skip these steps, guys. So we're going to come over to our nail holes and we're going to get some spackle. If you got white baseboards, if you got wood colored, you can use wood filler. Now if you take your time doing this, you won't have any or very little sanding to do. Just want to fill them. You can take a damp rag and wipe it across. Just careful not to wipe all the spackle that you just put in. Okay, then while our spackle is drying, we're going to want to take some regular old white painter's caulk if you have white trim, clear if you have wood trim. We're going to run a nice bead across the top. Seal that gap. And then we're going to run a little bit in our seams as well. And run your finger up. Run your finger gently across the caulking. So look at the difference between this area and this area, and how much of a difference it looks. Alright guys, now the last thing we're going to do is touch up those nail holes where we spackled. and where we caulked. We're going to run a nice bead of our finished paint right over that caulking, because that caulk's actually going to yellow. It's not going to really be true, you know, as the trim color. You want to paint that. Plus, after you caulk, it's really easy to get a nice crisp line. If you're doing this over carpet, get your large drywall knife and slip it under the trim. Or you could get yourself a thin piece of cardboard, and that'll protect the area that you're painting. Alright, all done. Came out pretty nice, don't you think, guys? That wasn't too bad. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up for me. I've got a ton of other household videos if you want to check those out. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and click the notification bell so you can get all those new videos. Thanks for watching Johnny DIY, guys. Keep on doing it yourself. Take care.